Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of Weekly Shonen Jam, a podcast where we have a manga jam with your boy Hibaro and Kage. Who are you, Kage?
My name is Negro Kage. I go by that on Twitter and YouTube. I sometimes make YouTube media analysis videos or video essays. I also do games under the name Black Mamba Jesus on itch.io. And I make music under DG Jr. on SoundCloud. What about you, Hibaro?
I just have opinions, man. We will be talking about manga, specifically Shonen Jump. In later episodes, we're gonna get into why we decided to go specifically with Jump. One thing though, spoiler alerts, we'll be talking about ongoing series, and we're mostly current with all of them. So you're aware, spoilers alert, don't hate us if we spoil My Hero Academia for you. The first segment of our podcast, we're gonna be discussing a main topic, if you will. Today we'll be talking about first experience with manga. Which title was it? Where did you find it? Why? Why were you interested in the first place?
My first experience with manga was Dragon Ball, of all things. Dragon Ball Volume 6 specifically. It's the volume where Goku is in Muscle Tower trying to fight General White and rescue the village mayor of this village that he stumbled upon while looking for the Dragon Balls, and he's fighting Sergeant Purple, the ninja, and he does the Shadow Clone Jutsu before the Shadow Clone Jutsu. And Goku just realizes that his clones aren't real people or are real people, and he just like beats him down. And he meets Ader, this like android, and then they go up to the tower to fight General White, and then he drops them into like a trapdoor to find this like monster called the Jiggler, which like Goku's like fists and attacks all bounce off of. So Goku like runs and punches a wall and brings in the ice, and it like freezes the monster. Yeah, that's just always been one of my favorite parts of Dragon Ball. And a little funny story about this volume: when I was younger in elementary school, there's a part later in this volume that Goku meets up with Bulma, and they like go traveling around the world looking for Dragon Balls. And she takes this like capsule, this like little small like Pokeball thing that has like stuff in it, and she accidentally takes her father's, and it has like porno mags in it. And I guess one of the principals in school like heard about it in my desk, and I remember getting in so much trouble for it.
Where did you get this volume of Dragon Ball?
I think my dad just got it for me when I was younger. I think we were just like walking through a bookstore, and either he knew I liked it or I asked for it. It was one of the two. And it just always has been like one of my favorite parts of Dragon Ball, like that Kid Goku section where he's just beating down dudes as like a 5 foot kid is just always like my favorite stuff. Just a hot take: Dragon Ball is better than Dragon Ball Z. Always has been, always will be for me.
It's a very hot take, and we're gonna get canceled on the first episode. I also believe Dragon Ball is a better manga than Dragon Ball Z. Not the anime though. Were you like already into anime at that point?
I don't think so. When I got that manga volume, I think uh, I definitely didn't even know what anime was. I don't even remember being like a big fan of Dragon Ball. I probably had, like saw it a little bit on Toonami, but I watched like some Rave Master and Yu Yu Hakusho when they used to come on Cartoon Network. But no, I don't think I was. It was really just all cartoons for me. Just another kind of cartoon. I had no idea it was from another country or anything from Japan.
Funny that your first manga would be Dragon Ball.
Yes.
It's the first manga I ever saw, like a physical copy of a thing called manga, was like a Spanish. Pretty sure it was kind of like a bootleg version of a tankobon. for the first volume of Dragon Ball.
Oh.
I remember a friend of mine had it. Uh, it was I think it was in I think I was in seventh grade, and I do remember it clearly because it's the first time I saw the Pat Pat scene with Bulma and Kid Goku, and then they do the bat. It's like this can't be Dragon Ball Z. This is not Dragon Ball Z. This is way before I knew that Dragon Ball Z was a continuation of Dragon Ball, right? And it was like this weird Dragon Ball book. You would read it right to left. Like, the hell is this? I had seen a bunch of not a bunch of anime, but I had experience with anime before I had experience with manga. Like Kage says, uh, back then it was just another cartoon, right? It was like Batman, X Men, Spider Man, Samurai X. That's what we call Rurouni Kenshin in Puerto Rico, Samurai X. And it was like fun stuff. I did know there was like a slight difference between Western and Japanese cartoons. Mostly, the character designs. Of course, you had Japanese openings. Uh, my first manga I ever saw was Dragon Ball. It wasn't until like 4 years later, or 3 to 4 years later, we would actually have like actual volumes of manga at your bookstores. Maybe if you went to like a big comic book store back in the 90s, you might have had some manga, super obscure. We would get like Japanese merchandise from Dragon Ball Z. No manga. It wasn't until like Borders opened they actually had like a manga section. The first manga I ever owned was volume 8 of Rurouni Kenshin. We were on a field trip to some type of like book fair, and this guy was selling like a couple of volumes of manga. Oh yeah, Rurouni Kenshin, Samurai X. I only had $10, so I dropped those $10 on this issue. Something for you kids nowadays. Back then, if you missed an episode of anime, you missed it. You had to record it on the VCR. Once I opened that book and I was like, oh yeah, this is the village where you meet Shishio. I remember Shishio's this cool looking character with bandages, he's burned up. It's like, oh, it's Shishio's introduction. Saw Kenshin fight the other Battle Jutsu user for the first time. I was like, oh man, this is some good stuff I have in my hand right now. And gave it a couple years later, and I started buying manga. Uh, I started buying Full Metal Alchemist and it's closed, or Detective Conan, as the purists would say, and so on, so on. Which was the first manga you started to like buy for yourself?
The first manga that I bought for myself, actually, I hadn't bought manga until recently. I'm a big fan of One Piece, and I'm a big fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and those are my two favorite mangas currently. And I own all of the 3-in-1s of One Piece that have been printed in the West, and I own all of the JoJo's that have been printed in the West as well, all the way up to Diamond is Unbreakable currently. And I also own some Hunter, and I also own all the way up to the end of Greed Island, which is my favorite arc of Hunter, and we're gonna talk about that one day.
Take.
We're gonna talk about that one day. And I also own some Dragon Ball as well. I actually rebought that volume that I was talking about in the 3-in-1 edition. So that was a good nostalgic trip down memory lane. And I think that's all that I have. Yeah, I think that's all the manga that I have. Might be. Oh, I have some Pokemon Adventures as well. The Black and White saga. But I think that's all. I think that's it. I think that's all the manga that I have.
One thing, if you want to get into reading manga, owning volumes, it's a bit expensive. If you don't have that much disposable income, it'll take a while for you to start, growing on your collection. It's fine. If you're like just reading one or two series. We believe that the manga that Jump is releasing right now has value. It's not only cool fights. It's actually things you can learn and experience from reading manga. So by using the app, the official Shonen Jump app, we are up to date on what's current in Japan. We are currently reading like 85% of all of Jump. Feel free to jump at me for never having read Haikyuu. I'll get to it eventually. And we read it, we talk about it, and we decided that's why we started doing this podcast in the first place. So having displayed that we are focused on reading the Weekly Shonen Jump, we wanted to go over some of those series that are currently being published. In a segment we're calling the Weekly Highlights. And you go first.
Okay, for my pick this week, I want to talk about Time Paradox Ghostwriter. It's a new Jump manga that's only about 9 chapters deep right now, and I really like it. It's about this mangaka, this up and coming mangaka who, uh, by some circumstance of a lightning bolt and a microwave, starts getting issues of Jump from the future, and he plagiarizes a series to basically get his Jump manga, you know, start his career. But I fear with the newest chapter, it might be getting canceled very, very soon.
Okay, so we're going into why we think it's gonna get canceled. Spoiler alerts.
I think it's going to get canceled because it keeps doing these small but very significant time skips. One of them was like a couple chapters ago, and it's only on chapter 9. One of them was a couple chapters ago where he gets an anime, and it just like skips to the next year where he has an anime, and like with the newest story development of that he needs to keep writing this manga that he's been plagiarizing to keep the original author from dying in 10 years. He has to defeat her new material to keep her alive. It just feels super rushed. Like it feels like we should be taking more time to get to know the other author and what's inspiring her to make this manga, and kind of spending more time on the process. And it just feels like we're really rushing through this story, and I just don't feel like it's getting enough time to breathe properly.
One thing I love about this series, it started and it was an instant hit with us, was the turmoil the character has. He literally spends like 3 chapters discussing the merits and demerits of stealing work from other people. And even while choosing to plagiarize her manga, he constantly has issues, right? So on the is it gonna get canceled soon? I guess is yes. I think it's somewhat intended and expected. On a later episode, we'll be talking about the actual Shonen Jump manga process. Essentially, if a series is not that popular, it gets canceled. I think he had something to say. He already said it. His goal was show you the turmoil. If he wanted to do a long running series, they wouldn't have shown the actual author of the series by like issue 2, chapter 2. I'm sorry. They would have stretched it out a couple more weeks. They could have introduced like maybe another guy or also has access to this manga from the future. I think we're also expecting something out of this series based on Bakuman and the non battle manga. It just wants to tell its story. It's doing it superbly actually. Uh, I'm I don't know what's gonna happen. This is one thing this series has. I don't know where it's going.
It does
You
have
can tell
surprise.
You can tell in a fighting manga, yeah, they're gonna fighty. Someone's gonna win with a beam attack. Here, you don't know where it's going at all. So for my weekly highlight, I'm gonna be talking about one of the newer series in Jumps called Ian Roboco. This series is only 2 chapters long so far. I think it's neat. I think it's cool that we get an old school Doctor Slump type manga. We have like 8 or 9 running comedy series right now. Each one different, each one has good things and bad things. But this one feels like it was something that was missing, at least from the last year. It's just a silly situation with younger characters, and it's mostly aimed at kids. I do like my some of my etchy humor. I like my serious humor. I like nonsense. We'll be talking about Bobobo in later episodes. It's nice to have a manga that's just like every 2 pages try to do a gag. All the gags are not that funny. I'm not rolling on the floor laughing reading this. It's a nice little manga about this not so distant future. You get maid robots. Oh, the good thing is it's a kid series because we know where these go really fast. And everybody has one. They're all cute maids. And this little kid, which is like your average little kid, it's a I want to call her. Imagine if you order a maid and you get the Rock.
Mhm.
She is like a big, bulky character. She's obnoxious.
Has Nappa
She is
knees.
silly. She has Nappa knees, and this is why I'm talking about this series. They went and referenced Nappa's knees. That's a defining trait of this character. I love that silly joke. And there's another joke they're doing that I actually enjoy. Is the maid would flip her skirt and she has like panties with writing on it.
Mhm.
But she had like random name on a panty, and when I looked it up, it's like an actual painting from like the Dark Ages. What's this author getting at showing you that painting? Uh, I think I can't read it; it's too small. I just looked it up. Now, does this series? I think this series. I'm excited to have a different series like that. I don't think it's gonna last long. Besides Nappa's niece, what do you think about Roboco?
I like Roboco. It's really funny. Uh, uh, chapter one is funny. I'm looking at chapter two's like opening page, and I like that. Oh, I have something new for you. What new? What are you talking about? A new cons. And that's very funny. That this I haven't read like Kibaro. I haven't read a lot of Obobo, but I did watch a little bit of it when I was younger, and it seems right at home. A joke like this seems right at home. A series like that that's just like so silly, so like meta and shit. It's just like it doesn't care what it is. Um, uh, I like it. I do like it. I do feel like it's maybe a little derivative of like I don't know the Japanese history of like Doraemon. I know Doraemon has like a bunch of like spin-offs and maybe not even spin-offs, but just like anime, whatever. I remember watching a couple episodes, anime episodes with my little brother a couple years ago. But it reminds me a lot of that, where you have like the little kid and the robot that is like weird and like they get into wacky hijink adventures. And I guess you could always say that there are millions of like shony punchy boys, but I don't know. I feel like I like me and Roboco, but I definitely feel like it has a lot of Doraemon in it, and I guess the way that it will differentiate itself from its obvious inspiration will we'll see how it can stand on its own, because it could get canceled, but it could also stay around, um, because there's so many comedies and Jump right now. It could last. It could last. It could just be like that comfort food that people need every week.
I agree with you. The best example of what the series feels like is Doraemon.
Mhm.
Each episode of Doraemon would be, oh, I'm Nobita, something happened, and then Doraemon would pull a magical item from the future.
Yep.
And that's where the comedy in that series would come from.
Exactly.
The hijinks of having this invention. It's also, I think I mentioned it, it's very similar to Dr. Slump. Also the same.
Yes. Yes.
Even the main character looks like a Raleigh,
Roboco or
the boy.
oh, okay. Yeah, a little bit.
He has,
Yeah.
has the shorts, baseball cap, doesn't put a piece of wood to a piece of poop yet, but looks like a Raleigh.
He's not as short as Orale.
So the shorts for Raleigh. He is not an indestructible machine.
Yes.
Robocop is.
Yes.
She has Nappa's knees.
She has Nappa's knees.
And last thing I want to say about Roboco is there's another series currently ongoing called Mori King, which we'll talk about on later episodes. This feels like a direct competition to Mori King, which has a similar-ish premise.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, it does have a similar vibe of kid and magical creature, magical thing that hygiene.
There's like 5 ongoing series which are essentially it and magical creature.
That's true. Magu-chan is very much like that as well. You're right about
And
that.
collection to a certain extent.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But Bone Collection's more of like a serious manga, or at least it's trying to be, I should say.
It's more fighty with comedy than pure comedy.
Yes. And now we're going to do our manga deep dive section. In this section, we're going to pick one series and talk about it more thoroughly than the highlights section. For this week, we're talking about A Gravity Boys.
Let's jump on it. Gravity Boys. A Gravity Boys is an ongoing Weekly Shonen Jump series written by Atsushi Nakamura. It currently has 28 chapters. The premise of the series is 4 men went into space one day and landed on a weird alien planet. And these are humanity's best, smartest guy in the whole planet. They're on a mission to like bring peace to the world because the world is at like war. And the planet explodes, and now they're stranded on the planet, and they're all perverts. And this series started, it caught my attention because like the first volume, it's like a very straight, manly man manga. They even had like badass looking mech suits. And one of the characters in particular, which we'll be talking about today, my favorite character in the whole series, this manly ass man, right? And then they're just like jerks to each other. And I forgot the most important part: the actual best character in the series. They end up meeting this ghost-looking character called Higher Being. Higher Being has the power to like warp reality. And instead of this being a serious manga about we're gonna science the shit out of this, we're going to find a way to return to our planet and beat the higher being. Like, no, I'm bored. I want to give you an item that turns one of you into a woman. Pick who you want to be your woman. I fell in love with this series, Kage. How about you?
I do like it.
I do like it. Sometimes some weeks are harder to get through than others. It's really funny. I'm surprised. I think I know which character you're talking about as your favorite character. Is it Baba Zulagi?
Yes, he is.
Really, I like Zeman. I believe that's the nerd one with the hemorrhoids and shit. He's-
Okay, I'm gonna give it to Babasulagi because of this week's chapter.
okay, okay, yeah. Zeman is my favorite just because he always has so many like I don't think like anything about him is serious. It's always gags. It's always silly. Um, them together is always a good is those characters together actually is always a good funny time. Um,
Oh, you know who I don't like? I don't like Chris.
I don't really like Chris either. I like Chris. Chris only has like one joke. Where I guess the other ones also only have one joke, they get a lot of mileage out of that one joke. Chris's only joke is that he's a boy that looks like a girl, and like that's like the only joke that he has. And they
At one point, he becomes like a YouTube sensation.
Yes, at one point he becomes a YouTube sensation. At another point there's another group of humans that come to this alien planet that they're stranded on, and one of the guys falls in love with Chris because Chris is just a pretty boy that looks like a girl, and he doesn't know that Chris is a girl. Chris is a boy, and so that's the joke. It's like he's constantly getting into like misconceptions about like oh these two characters are dating or this character is dating Chris now because they're so close or whatever, and it's like that's the joke about Chris, and that's it. Yeah, yeah.
Also, I don't have much of an opinion on the other crew. We barely seen them so far.
That's also why I like Zeman because I like the one that's uh tangentially like related to him, the other scientist guy that's like in love with him and sees him like an idol or whatever. Like that joke all I guess like I said, all characters only have like one joke, but that joke never fails to make me laugh. Where he's like, "Oh, he's my idol. My idol would never do that." And I guess that's why I kind of like Baba Zulagi too because that character plays off of Baba Zulagi because Baba Zulagi is like a major pervert, and so all the time he's like, "That damn Baba Zulagi is corrupting my idol," and it's just always a funny joke, always a funny gag.
And the relationship of Babasulagi to this guy is like it's my bro. We're super chill.
Mhm.
And I know all about him. And that's one of the things that the other captain hates about him. They even have one chapter where they have like a family feud style competition.
Yes.
Who knows more about Sedman?
Yeah.
When this series shines, it's whenever higher being is involved.
Mhm.
That's some good old wacky fun.
I know you want to talk about this new latest chapter that just came out.
Yes, and that's why we picked the Gravity Boys for this week's deep dive. Because it is not the series you expect to be at the top of Jump. More often than not, you'd be surprised, at least in my opinion, I can't speak for Kage. No, it shouldn't come to a surprise that usually our favorite manga each week is, One Piece, My Hero Academia, Chainsaw Man, which everyone should read Chainsaw Man.
Read Fire Punch first.
Uh, every now and then, Gravity Boys pulls some stupid nonsense that makes it as good as the top manga that week. I can't. Last week, in Gravity Boys, they started like a flashback arc of when they went to school together and they became the quote Gravity Boys. It was a shit chapter. Like I would put it on my worst of the week list. That's how bad it was. they have had like little arcs before, little arcs usually are not that great. It's like, no, I want wacky alien hijinks. I want more game shows. The boys were going to meet the Baba Sulagi, and turns out that in this school there's like a secret war going on, or who's better, the older students and newer students. And Baba Sulagi reach like an agreement for a substitute to war. It's the representatives of each faction have to shove broccoli up each other's butts. I'm quoting. It has been called the Broccoli Pact.
Yes.
Then it's like, that's a funny joke. I think that's a funny joke, right?
Mm-hmm. They have different words for it too. Broccoliction, broccolysis.
A couple of pages later, they go into like, oh, but this guy had like leaks of his nose. What's that about? And he goes into like this couple panels of broccolism span other religions like onionism. I'm not a comedy expert, but that just makes me laugh. And since Baba Sulagi, and freaking Baba Sulagi doesn't even like buy broccoli. He has this weird contraption that can clone broccoli. It's weird. It's a weird series. It is very enjoyable. It is not like, I'm curious how I would feel if I just binge it instead of reading it weekly. What do you think about it? Do you think this series would hold up as a real as a binging series?
Because I binged it. Did you read from the beginning, or did you?
I read it.
You read it from the beginning. I binged it, and I thought it was really funny. The first couple of chapters. It's a comedy series, so every now and again it has like a couple of dud chapters, like whether or not you really like jive with the joke or whatnot. There was one that I was like, oh, this manga, it's special. It reminded me a lot of like Prison School or whatever, that style of humor where
I love Prison School.
where it's like that serious but super silly because everything's super serious. Where the main, like the character that I like, Geralt Zeman, he has like really bad hemorrhoids, and he can only like shit in like one specific bathroom, and the bathroom is on the ship, and they it's like they do like a shonen, like I you stay behind and keep on going, and they keep doing this just to get this man to poop on the ship or he's gonna die from his horrible hemorrhoids. And it was just like one of the funniest things I had read that week. I just been having like a bad week or whatever. I was like, this is fucking hilarious, and I love it.
And at the end of that chapter, he just shows up like coolest looking character.
Yes.
They even draw him in a different art style, and it's just like, I took a dump.
Yes, exactly. That's what it really shines with me. Yeah.
It's a 2-page splash to have him say he took a shit.
Yes, exactly.
I like it. Okay, so I find it funny. I find it funny. Now,
do you think it'll get an anime? That's a question I've been had in my head.
I don't think it's gonna get an anime series. It's just kind of weird, and it's sort of pointless because BH, they don't really have like a goal outside of just doing comedy for the sake of comedy. The same thing could be said about series like Prison School or Cromartie High School.
Prison School had a goal, though. They definitely had a goal, and that was like, at least for the season, the one season, maybe later on in the show, maybe not, but that first season they definitely had a goal, and that's what made that first season very compelling.
That also taking into consideration the amount of anime that gets produced. could totally do a 13 episode anime like haven't you heard Sakamoto?
Right. I still need to watch that. Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's that type of silly anime. To round up our weekly discussion of manga, we're gonna be doing a sort of little list, keep track of which series we liked, which series we thought were bad this week. For this week, we're both gonna pick two series we thought were the best. By best, I mean like we really liked it, or technically they were really really good, or they did something great for the series. It's a little vague, but that's opinions are vague in a way. And which ones we thought were the one series we thought were the worst.
I'm gonna give it to Chainsaw. Hopefully that doesn't become a weekly thing, but Chainsaw and More King made me laugh a lot this week.
Really?
Yeah,
Would you go as far as say Mori King was one of the best this week?
I would. Like I liked Stone. Stone was good, but it felt like a okay the shoe dropped, but I feel like it's more set up for like what's gonna happen next week. Like I feel like this chapter next week is gonna be really good, but this one itself, it was just like leading up to that reveal that Senku is like that Zeno and Senku know each other. But there wasn't really much else for me, I guess, of note in that chapter besides some of the silly. But like Mora King, because Bone Collection wasn't really all that funny. It was okay. I have some words about Bone Collection and I think why I like it. It reminds me a lot of Shaman King, like early Shaman King, and we'll talk about that when we talk about Bone Collection. But
Don't you dare compare Bone Collection to Shaman King.
I have some good reasons why. As I've been thinking about, especially with the new two characters that showed up, it reminded me a lot of like early Shaman King with all the silly. But yeah, Bone Collection was like okay. I think that one's like also like set up chapter. So it wasn't like all that great. It ended good. Like it ended on a good cliffhanger. It was okay. A gravity was funny. The broccoli joke did make me laugh. Like putting broccoli up the butt, but like I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't in like a that silly stupid mood this week. Roboco is still just getting started. Undead Unluck. I have some words. I can't wait for us to talk about that one because that one's interesting. Mitama was just kind of it was just I don't know. It was just kind of like mad at me. It feels like it's like in the middle between trying to make like another silly long story arc. Like it's those in between chapters before it starts to do that again. Um, and Time Paradox was good, but I don't think it was as nearly as good because of its issues that I was talking about earlier. I don't think it was as nearly as good as that Mora King chapter with just them being silly on the beach. I just laughed a lot at it. I laughed a lot at it, and Magu-chan was pretty good. Magu-chan would probably be like my fourth. I would say,
Hakusha, who we'll discuss on a later episode, it's actually turning out to be pretty good.
yeah, yeah. I would say Magu-chan would either be third or fourth because it was really funny, and this was like a really compelling, interesting chapter, especially with like the 7-Eleven store attendant. Like that was good.
Yeah.
That was good. That's like some Tagashi writing right there.
Thing that does it for me in Magu-chan is speech pattern of Magu-chan.
Yes, I definitely see him as like a like oh you lowly human or something like that. Like he has like a deep like he kind of has like a deep voice or whatever. I can like if he's like being played in the anime, I could see that. I could hear that voice in my head. Yeah.
And he speaks like super formal,
Yes. Yes.
and that's where I get most of the humor of the series because it's you know how in school classes guy speaks in like Romance of the Three Kingdoms speech.
Yes.
That's how Magu-chan talks.
I see.
I find that funny. Okay, so to summarize, Kage's, you said your favorite and or best this week was Which ones? Chainsaw Man and
Yeah, Chainsaw. Yeah, Chainsaw Man and More King were my two favorites of this week.
which one worst?
Oh, who was the worst? I would say I didn't. I didn't care for Hard Boiled Cop this week. Uh, or well, I'm flipping through it right now. Um, it was pretty funny. Worst, I don't know if I call it the worst. Black Clover is one of them. Get used to that. That might be my hot take series. Black Clover and hmm, Mitama. Mitama. I just didn't really care for that chapter. Maybe because
Okay.
I don't like that character. Yeah, I don't really like Soya that much.
Okay. So for me, I agree 100%. Chainsaw Man was the best this week.
Mm.
Simply, Chainsaw Man is crazy. It's crazy, and it's on a climactic arc right now, and it's bonkers crazy. It's great. It's good. For the second best, I would say it's a tie between Doctor Stone and Gravity Boys.
Okay.
Yes, Doctor Stone was set up. But it's good setup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make a special mention on Mitama. Uh, if we were doing like a bigger ranking, it would be up there.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't find that much value in this episode. Oh yes, that character. It sucks. It's not funny.
Soya's not funny. Like
It's not.
everyone else is a riot. Like everyone else is like ridiculous or stupid. But
I don't want to give away any of the extreme
yes, some of the
curse characters of Mitama until we talk about Mitama for real.
yeah.
So I'm not a fan of Mitama's development,
Mm.
like his like form he's using right now.
Oh,
I
oh,
like
like
it.
Spirit Man. Yeah, yeah.
I like it. I like that they it was a nice chapter. How do I put it? He did something nice for Soya.
Hmm.
I liked it. Also, without revealing the characters, the house because Soya quick Mitama. He's like a spirit detective guy that's supposed to exorcise spirits. There's this girl that has a bunch of spirits with her
And line.
in a line.
Mm-hmm.
That's important, and it's comedy, right? It's funny, wacky characters. The Soya guy is also a curate spirit buster, but he can't see ghosts. He half the episode is him imagining what the characters are supposed to look like. I really enjoyed his vision of some of the characters.
That's fair. I was just scrolling back through it, and yeah, some of them were very funny. Where he was like thinking about the commentary guy. That was pretty funny, and the fish guy. That was very funny. Yeah.
Hero, form shock hero. I'm just looking at him. In the end, it's a nice little thing. They put lights on top of the ghosts so he could see like the shape of them
Mm.
to wish him a happy birthday. I thought it was a nice little chapter. It doesn't always have to be perverted stuff or cool action scenes.
I yeah, I like I said, it just feels like, the little chapter where where I can't even remember the main character girl's name right now. I guess I'm bad with names. Where she was trying to become like a maid, not a maid, like a waitress or whatever. No, it was she was working at the convenience store. That's what it was. It just kind of felt like that, where we're just like, we just need to fill time this week with a chapter.
Yeah. He doesn't have a plan for this series at all.
That's
He's doing the. I am assuming the writer is a man, of course. He's doing the best he can. I don't think he expected to almost be a whole year
a,
doing this weekly series.
a serialization, yeah, for this series. That's very true. That's very true.
Rena Hase is the girl's name.
Yes, yes, yeah, Raina, yeah.
Okay, and worst this week. Just like Kage said, uh, hitting on Black Clovers might be his thing from now on. Pretty much up until it gets cancelled, I'm going to be shitting on Mashal. It's like it's every week I tell Kage this was bad. This is not good. This is a ripoff of One Punch Man that's going nowhere. It's essentially what if One Punch Man was Harry Potter? It's not good. That being said, like 3 chapters ago was the best chapter in that week. And and that week had some pretty good My Hero in One Piece. That was a fluke. He probably copied it off of a manga from 10 years in the future. Hey, to mention to Yokozuna family, also on my list, Yokozuna family.
Thank you for listening to the Weekly Shonen Jam podcast. We hope you liked it. We hope you come back for more. Gonna have a lot more discussions, a lot longer discussions next time. This is just a little test episode. Let us know in the comments if you liked it, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, and we can take that in consideration for future episodes.
So be looking forward to our discussions on jump process, the harsh life of a mangaka. We're gonna be talking about modern series. We're gonna be talking about classic series like Dragon Ball, Saint Seiya. Uh, Even at this point, Naruto is a classic series, right? We're gonna be talking about some of the series that recently finished that were good, like Promise Neverland and Demon Slayer.
I'm gonna talk a little bit about Bleach. I'm gonna with the anime coming around and Shaman King at some point as well.
Okay.
With both of those animes coming back, that's gonna be some fun discussion. Probably Burn the Witch too, because Burn the Witch's manga is supposed to come out sometime soon as well. Follow me at Negro Kage on Twitter, also on YouTube. Black Mamba Jesus on itch.io if you want to play some games, and DG Junior on SoundCloud for my music as well.
You can follow me on Twitter at Jibaro Premium. It's Jibaro Premium. And you can also follow the official Weekly Shonen Jam Twitter account at Jam Shonen. Also, follow It's Spire. That's an online store. My wife are running. We personalize items like bottles and shirts and stuff like that. Let's give it a look. And that concludes this weekly Shonen Jam session. As you know, guys, come back next time because Jam doesn't go bad.